Be again joined by Malik Khnisi, who will be speaking about resume and CV writing. So welcome to our club on professional and personal development. And I will leave the floor to Malik. As usual, you can type like your questions or commands in the chat box. And there will be like the first part would be like presentation, and then Malik will open like the floor for everyone to ask their questions and interact. So Malik, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ada. Thank you very much. And thank you everyone for coming today. Again, I see like many names that attended the last couple of sessions. I'm really excited about this session specifically and the next couple of ones, especially for the cover letter and for the motivational letter, and most importantly for the interview sessions. So yeah, today we are going to be talking about CV and resume writing. I know that CV and resume are key in terms of, the skills that we need to learn, because I believe personally that writing CVs and resumes, it's a set of skills, right? It's not just, like a piece of paper where you are going to be writing down your skills. But I often say there is you write your set of skills, but also, your experience, your past experience, your education, etc., etc. All of these, we will go into them like into details in a bit. The thing is, I personally believe that writing CVs and resumes is an art. So for now, I'll keep calling them CV and resumes, but at a certain point, I'll shift to just focus on resume, and I'll let you know later why exactly. But again, I believe that for me, this is some sort of art, metaphorically speaking, because in your CV and your resume, you are basically selling yourself and you are marketing yourself through a piece of paper. So basically, you are selling yourself to someone who never met you before, someone who doesn't know anything about you, and you basically handing them a piece of paper and you are telling them, I am fit for whatever you are looking for. Call me for an interview and I'll show you my set of skills, and I prove you the set of skills that are in CV and resumes. The thing is, I know that writing CV and resumes is controversial, and there is a lot of questions that are often asked. Question like what templates to use, what font to use, what is the font size to use, what are the skills that I need to mention, does the education come before professional experience, does the picture represent an important element of the CV and resume, etc., etc. I'm sure that most of the attendees today, they have plenty of questions that are unanswered regarding the CV and resume writing. I'm sure also plenty of you, they either watched YouTube channels, trainings, or they attended workshops regarding CV and resume writing. People, they have different perspectives. Even the trainers, they have different perspectives regarding how to write a CV, what is the best thing that you need to put in a CV, how to structure your CV, etc., etc., which is also great, not bad. But the thing is, before to start this presentation, before to share with you the elements, or how can I say, the tips in today's presentation, I need you guys to start this session with a clear and empty mind regarding the CV and writing. I want you to start the session like you don't know anything about the CV writing and about the resume writing. This is one thing or one favor that I asked from all of you. The tips that I'm going to share with you are tips that I personally built and that I personally noticed through the years that I spent in recruiting people, in applying for jobs, in listen learned in general. Because for me, and this is one tip for you, is that every time you apply for jobs, I mentioned this before, If you get accepted, that's great. If you get rejected, try to assess yourself. Is your CV, did you use the right CV? Did you use the right vocabularies in the CV, the keywords, etc., etc., etc.? So this is something important, and this is basically the background and the rationale, and also from where I got all the tips that I am sharing with you. Through assessing myself every time I apply for a job. If I get the job, it means I did a great job in the CV, in writing CV and in the interview. So all those tips I'm sharing with you, but in the same time, if I get rejected multiple times from multiple jobs and multiple position, it means that I did something wrong with the CV, and then I check my CV and evaluate my CV. I found what is wrong. Also, I put it in the tips. So this is basically from where I got all the pieces of information and the bits that I'm going to share with you today. So just a quick look into the agenda. As usual, there are 5 main things that we're going to discuss about it. First of all, I want to do a brief recap on the job search. What are the strategy? It's something that we discussed the last time, but I want to run quickly through what we discussed. Then the CV and resume, what are the differences, when each is needed? And from then on, we will be discussing resume and CV, the tips that I'm going to share with you that apply on both. And I'll explain later why. I'll explain later how. Then you have the template. I know that it's tricky. All of us, it's sometimes 90% or 80% of the cases, we all use different templates that we find online. So we're going to discuss today, we are going to set things clear in terms of templates. What are the common templates? And does the template make any difference in the decision of the recruiting to call you for an interview? Then there is resume essentials. We are going to talk about the structures, we are going to talk about the contents, and then we are going to talk about the sections that we need to add in the we need to include in the resume. And the last and the most important part is how to tailor your CV to the job description or to the job that you are applying for, to the job description of the position you are applying for. So let me run quickly a brief overview and recap into the job search, and you will understand later why I'm doing this. Because in your strategy, there are 4 main steps that you need to follow. First of all, as I mentioned before, the step 1 is your educational background. It's important since you are in the university, you have an idea about what you are going to do later. It's important to study the market. You have to study the market while in university, or even if you graduate and you're looking for a job. How do you study the market? Simply follow the websites where they advertise jobs. LinkedIn, Jam'iyati, there is other websites where they advertise jobs. If you have, like, for example, a science background or a biology background, right? So you follow these websites when you are in university. You keep an eye on how often they advertise jobs related to biology, or also IT or economy or banking, etc., etc. So that's how you study the market. It's pretty simple. Even when you are a university student, you might think that it's too early for me to check those websites. What are the jobs? But for me, I recommend doing this so you have an idea about how often do they advertise jobs in your area of expertise, or in the area where you want to find a job in the future. What period of time? Because it's important, because sometimes there are specific positions, for example, in the nonprofit sector, in the humanitarian or development organization. I know that the end of the year, it's the peak of job advertisement. Why? Because the nonprofit organization, usually they get the fund at the end of the year. So when they get the fund, that's when they start advertising jobs. There are nonprofit organizations related to climate change. There are nonprofit organizations, they hire people for IT background, etc., etc. So these are basically how you study the market. And again, studying the market starts from the university, so you can have an idea later on that, okay, I graduated, I know exactly, you know, what the position they advertise, and I know exactly what period of time exactly they will advertise this position. Another important thing I mentioned before, I mentioned again, and this is an example that I'm going to give. If you study economy, banking is not the only job out there. So, same for any other sector. So if you're studying any specific sector, don't you ever believe that there is a main you know, like job title or job position or companies that they hire for that sector. No, there is a plenty of other jobs and plenty of other titles that might be more rewarding personally, professionally, financially than, you know, what's the most common titles. And as I said here, for example, if you study economy, I know that, you know, people who are studying economy, they think that, okay, I study economy, so I can work as a banker, or banker investor in, you know, like big banking company or insurance companies, etc., etc. But just trust me, there is way more than these positions in different companies. They might be more rewarding than these positions. So keep having this, avoiding this narrow vision, and keep having, you know, a broader vision, and keep being open and flexible. Please mute yourself if it's possible. رؤية تماني, please mute yourself. Step number 2, highlight the most common skills. So basically, when you study the market, you find like there are jobs that are really interesting that you believe that when you graduate, you will apply for these jobs. Check what are the skills, check what are the soft skills that they're asking for, check what are the softwares that they're asking for, check what are the professional skills that they're asking for, and then ask yourself, do you have these skills? Do you have these soft skills? Do you have these hard skills? Or do you have these softwares? Again, these are easy steps. Basically, you do the study market. When you find jobs, take notes of these jobs, go through the job description and see what are the skills that are needed, and ask yourself whether or not you have these skills. If you do not have these skills, and that's step 3, you have to analyze your skill set, either the hard and soft, and see, okay, I don't have these skills. Define your learning strategy. I do not have these skills, but I know that I can improve these skills, and I still want this specific job or specific position in a specific sector. Well, that specific sector needs, for example, leadership skills. Do you have a leadership skills? If you do not have a leadership skills, you have to have a specific learning strategy. The learning strategy basically answering what skills you need to improve, but also how am I going to improve those skills? Are there workshops for free or paid workshop if you can pay for it? Are there, like, you know, free workshops in cultural centers? Does, you know, like Amadeus or American Corner provide skill improvement workshops or skills enhancement workshops in leadership? Or is there books that they teach you how to improve these set of skills? And then you decide, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna try, for example, reading one book every 2 months or every 1 month regarding leadership, so I can improve, so I can implement, etc., etc. Now, the other question is, when you see, and this is most importantly for people who graduated and still looking for a job, and then they find the job they always wanted to apply for, they have their educational background on that specific sector, and then they see that they are asking specific skill set that they do not have, they ask themselves, do I still apply for that job anyway, or should I pass for now until I improve that skill or I learn that specific software? Well, the answer is simple. Yes, do apply, and we'll go later into details, and I'll tell you exactly what you can do. Because when you apply, these companies sometimes, or these organizations where you're going to apply, they are flexible. Some organizations or some company, when you apply to work with them, and they see that you have a specific set of skills, not necessarily what they need, but if they see in your resume and during the interview that you are willing to learn, they can still teach you to build these skills or to learn these softwares. Many companies and organizations, they are open in building capacity of talents and investing in talent. So yes, even if you do not have those skills, do apply for the job anyway, but keep it in mind that you have a learning strategy. And this is basically something we will talk about it during the workshop of the about the interviews, because that's when you truly going to sell yourself, sell your idea, sell your set of skills, sell your learning strategy to the skills that you do not have for that job. Now, the step number 4 is, okay, you know what you want exactly. You did your study analysis, you did your market analysis, you know what are skills that what are the skills that you're missing, you haven't a learning strategy, then you graduated, and then you need to apply for that job. that's when you start step number 4, which is working on your CV and resume. And that's what we are going to address right now. This is a quick recap on the job search strategy. Now, CV and resume, the difference and when each is needed. I am not going to go in total depth about these. I'm sure all of you, they have an idea about what's the difference. I know that if I ask any one of you, and if you ask anyone in general, they will tell you the length. Well, it's true. It's about the length, and the definition of the words themselves tells everything, right? Resume in French means a summary. Okay. CV or curriculum vitae in Greek, it means course of life. So obviously, summary on course of life, it's about length, right? So the resume usually takes 2-page maximum, brief description, only relevant experiences, and it is mostly for technical vocation. Technical vocation such as if it's engineering, if it's IT, if it's, you know, like architectural designer and things like that. Now, if we talk about the curriculum vitae, it's longer, more than 2-page. It's more detailed summary, more information and in-depth description. And here, when I say brief descriptions and more information and in-depth description, I mean in mentioning what were your tasks, because, you know, like in the professional experience section, you have to describe what were your tasks through bullet points. And this is also something we're going to discuss. In your resume, it's brief description of what's your tasks, right? For example, you can say, led a team of 10 field managers, or made sure that the team meets the KPI or the key performance indicators for that or this project, right? But then in curriculum vitae, you have to go into details, as much details as possible. Relevant scientific publications. And here there is a specific reason why I mentioned scientific publications, because CV usually they are relevant for scientific background profiles or science background profiles. Basically, people who studied science or people who are having PhD, people that they studied biology, because these profiles, they did a lot of research. These profiles, they did a lot of they wrote a lot of papers. They attended multiple conferences. They did presentations in conferences. And basically, what the curriculum vitae, what you need to include in the curriculum vitae is that, true, you did a research on something specific. So basically, you can say that I did a research about climate change effect on insects or agriculture or whatever. But okay, you did that. You have to describe to me what were your methodology, what was your methodology, what was your goal, and what was the outcome, right? Which is the same thing in every single research that you did. So that's why the curriculum vitae, it's longer. And it's also, curriculum vitae is also the best version or the best template or the best, I don't know, like marketing tool, let me say, to use if you are applying for a PhD scholarship. If you are a PhD candidate, obviously you did a research during your master degree, you did like some scientific research, etc., etc. That's when you do your curriculum vitae. So this is really important. If you are a PhD, if you are looking for a PhD scholarship or you graduated and you're applying for a research position, you cannot do a resume because a resume is short and you do not want to, you actually want to put value to the work that you did or to the research that you did. So this is really important. To keep it simple, resume is short for technical vocation, CV is long for scientific vocation, and also for scholarships if you are applying for a PhD or for fellowship or research opportunities. Again, when I say scientific positions, it doesn't necessarily only mean university, but there are a lot of research opportunities right now out there that, you know, like research manager, assessment officer, monitoring and evaluation officer, etc., etc. These also some jobs where the profiles or the person conducted a lot of research and you need to put or add value to the research that you conducted. So you have to cite these like these research projects that you did in your CV or curriculum vitae. So this is basically the difference between both. Now, the templates, which is another dramatic debate that we always try to answer. What is the most appropriate template to apply for a job or to use for my CV or for my resume? Okay, again, now I'm going to shift totally to resume, but I'm happy to discuss about the CV later on. Whatever I'm going to say about the resume, so you will hear me just saying resume, whatever I'm going to say about resume is just, it applies also for CV. Okay, so talking about the templates, what is the most common, what are the most common templates that are used? And do these templates make any difference? Does it make a template that, does it make a difference if I apply for a specific job using one template and not the other? Well, let me give you a straight answer. No, there is no difference whatsoever, except if the company asks you to use a specific template. There are companies, mostly European companies, they ask you to use the Europass template. The Europass template is a form of curriculum vitae because you go into details, but sometimes you don't have those many details. And then the Europass, it gives you a short resume of your experience. Usually these companies, the European companies, they tell you to use the Europass template. The Europass template, just type Europass, and there is a website where it gives you basically, you know, a portal. It takes you to a portal where they just tell you, add your name, add your address, you put all the information, and then at the end you click submit. And then when you submit, they will give you the Europass version ready, so you can later apply to a company. Let me tell you this trick. This trick, basically, when the company asks you about a specific template, especially when they ask you about Europass template, usually that company is going to use what we call an application tracker system, ATS. An application tracker system is basically a software that company use, and focus with this, guys, because this is really important. ATS, an application tracker system, is a software that company use because when you submit your CV, the CV or the resume, they will go directly to the ETS, and then there won't be an individual who is going to be checking your resume. The system will be checking your resume. And the company basically goes to the system, they put keywords in the system. For example, if I want someone who's IT, who has an expertise on IT, on MATLAB, or on any other software. So I go to the system and I tell the system, okay, I want you to filter the application based on these keywords. The keywords are MATLAB, data visualization, data analysis, etc., etc. And then you put all these information to the system. You go do your job. You go to, you know, do whatever you want to do. And then when all the applications are submitted, they go directly to the system. The system can only process Europass, and this is an example. I'm just saying, not necessarily Europass. Other template also, it might be the case for other templates as well. The system will gather all these application, and then it will automatically filter the application where these keywords, they do not exist, and they will automatically reject them. So this is something really, really important, right? And this is where we're going to discuss how to tailor your CV to the job description. And that's why most of the company, they ask for a specific template. And that's why most of the European company, they ask for Europass. So template number one, which is the most common worldwide, but specifically in Europe, is Europass. The template number two is the US template. The US templates, usually in the US, they don't often use the tracker system. So they basically use, you know, like individuals or HR management, they check the CVs, right? And the difference between the US templates and the Europass templates, US templates, usually they are brief, they are structured, you know, there is not much design. It's kind of like straightforward. The Europass, and as you see here, it's much more detailed in terms of, you know, like the information, you know, the gender, the date of birth, etc., etc. In the US template, most of the time the US company, they don't really care that much about, you know, like the date of birth, the address, etc., etc. It's important to put the email and it's important to put the cell phone, and that's it, right? So these are the difference between the two most common templates. However, guys, and this is important, if you use any other template, it is not going to be harming. I know that many of you use multiple different templates. It is not going to harm your application. The only time where it's going to harm the application, it's if they ask you for a specific template and then you use a completely different template. So in the job description, I want you guys to focus on what templates they are asking for. If they do not ask for a template, you can use whatever template you want. You can use whatever design you want, as long as it's not a weird design. Because sometimes there are designs with multiple colors. In CV, you only use 2 colors. 2 colors. You cannot use more than 2 colors. This is really important. You have to bear in mind. I know some people, they tell you, okay, but I'm a web designer. If I'm a web designer, I want to showcase my skills or display my skills on the CV. Well, let me tell you something. If they did not mention specifically that they want you to showcase your designing skills on your CV, you don't need to do it. I mean, what you're going to write in your CV is way more than enough, which means if you put that you master specific software of web designing, if you put that you did experience in certain company of web designing, that's a proof for itself. Because if I am recruiting someone, for example, for designing the web of my company, and I want someone who's creative, right? If you send me a CV or you send me a resume, beautiful design, really creative, really, you know, catchy, I honestly don't care. And here is exactly why. Because I know that you probably have used some online tools, and that online tools did all the job. Because even when you send me that CV with a beautiful design or whatever, if you are going to be shortlisted, you will go through a technical test to really show me your skills. So it's okay to go beyond, you know, like above and beyond to impress the recruiter, but also remember, you can impress them with the content of your CV. You don't impress them with, what can I say? Well, like with the design, with the number of colors. This is for web designers. I know that I have a lot of friends who asked me this before and I told them, so I wanted to share this with you. But for other people, I know that they like to keep it simple. You know, one of my friends, I'm really impressed by his CV. When he shared with me his CV, it was really a simple CV. And he was a really great web designer. And I was impressed by the amount of experience that he has and the amount of softwares that he used, more than any other CV I ever received from web designers with, you know, different designs. Again, this is an example of web designers, but I know like there's a lot of other jobs that where people they want to display their set of skills in the CV design, which the CV, it is not a tool to showcase your designing skills, but as a tool, as I mentioned previously, to market yourself, to sell yourself, you know, through the content, through the experience that you had, etc., etc. And again, like most of the company, not even individuals, they check the CV. Most of the company, you know, like it's about keywords, and that's when we're going to discuss the tailoring. So one last time, the templates, they do not matter. There are two most common templates, the US template and the European templates. These can be used. The European templates, as I said previously, some European companies, they ask for it, but you can still use it yourself. You go to Europass, because Europass basically, as I said, it's a portal where you put the information and then you click submit, and then they give you the CV on the resume ready. The US template, you have to put yourself, you have to design, even though there is not much of a design yourself, the content, etc., etc. But more than that, other templates are okay as long as you don't make the template sophisticated to read. So this is really important. Templates make absolutely no difference when it comes, like whether or not you are going to be called for an interview, because I received so many templates through the course of my professional expertise. And honestly, all what I did is I scanned for keywords more than I focused on the design itself of the CV. Some CV, they can tell me a lot about people. Some CV, when before even I read it, I can kind of figure that person is organized or not. I can figure if that person is a mess. Like I can figure if that specific person did take his or her time in building that CV or not, or if they rushed to submitting the CV or not, etc., etc. So simple design, not so complex, just 1 or 2 colors, and don't overdo it. This is really important because there is other important components of the CV that they should be taken into consideration. Yeah, this is also another template. Of course, I highly advise not to add your social media in the CV, or not highly. I would not highly recommend, but I would say no, don't do it. It's as simple as that. Professional, yes. Keep your LinkedIn, yes. But like Facebook, Instagram, there is no need to, don't do it. Okay, so resume essentials, the structure, the contents, and the sections. Here we are going to talk about the structure and the contents. And there are 2 types of, like structure based on where you are on your professional life. So if you are fresh graduates, you have to have a specific structure and contents. If you are experienced professionals, you have to have specific structure and contents. Basically, when you are experienced, you're applying for a job that they're asking for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years of experience, right? So what you want to put in value in your CV or in your resume is your professional experience. So the first thing that you add is your contact information, and then you put your professional experience. Later, we will discuss how you need to add those, but let me now discuss just the structure and the contents. You have to put the contact information, then you have to put your professional experience. When you put your professional experience, chronologically, you have to start with the most recent to the least recent, and this is something common everyone knows. So basically what you're doing right now, the number of years, and then like basically the previous experience that you had. Then after the professional experience comes the certificates. What certificates do you have? Do you have any softwares that you masters? These are important that you have to put after your professional experience, because these are the things that the recruiter will focus on. What's your professional experience? What are the certificates that you have, and how you are going to add a professional value to the company or to the project that we are working on. After that, the language skills. This is really important. What are the languages that you speak? Are you fluent to these languages or not? There is what we call IRL, and is basically a language proficiency measurement or scale. So basically, when you put the language, you put like Arabic, English, French, Spanish. There are a lot of people that they put like, this table, and also this is in the Europass, but it's not really my preference. So there is a lot of people, they put basically Arabic, sorry, and they put like reading, listening, writing, and then they put like English, reading. So basically, the IRL, what it says if you put Arabic and you put that you are native speaker, obviously you do like you are good at writing, you're good at listening, you're good at reading, right? There is also what we call bilingual proficiency, which I think that most of us in French and English also, we are bilingual proficient. When you put bilingual proficiency, the recruiter will understand that you're good at writing and reading and listening as well. There is also there is also the scale of professional proficiency. Professional proficiency, it means that you can use that language in a professional set in reading and writing and listening. So you don't need to, like put English, good at reading, good at writing, good at listening. No, you can put English, bilingual proficiency, and then the recruiter will understand that that he or she can rely on you in the job to use your English skills. So this is for experienced professionals, and experienced professionals because we aim for jobs that they ask for 5, 6, 7 years of professional experience, and basically that's how we need to structure our CV. Now, for fresh graduates, it's a little bit different because fresh graduates, they do not have much of a professional experience. Fresh graduates, usually when we look for a job, we rarely, especially in Tunisia, find a job that they tell you, oh, you need to be a fresh graduate, you don't need any professional experience. I saw that like once or twice in my life. But usually fresh graduates, how do you know if a job is fresh graduates or not? Basically, when the job, they ask you for 1 year of professional experience. If they ask for 1 year professional experience, just go for it, even when you are fresh graduates, right? Because that 1 year professional experience, because basically companies and organization, if you look at it, they don't really seek the number of years of experience, but they rather seek how frequently you used those set of skills in the job descriptions. For example, so we want someone with 1 year of professional experience. And in the job description, we want someone who's good at report writing, who's good at coordinating, who's good at what else? I don't know, like who's good at communicating or facilitating or whatever. So basically, we don't really look for that 1 year of experience in another company, but I look into whether or not you spend that amount of time actually doing those tasks. And if you look at it, and later we will discussing on how to tailor your CV, well, if you are university students, I'm sure that you did like, master thesis through which you had to write a report during 6 months or during 1 year, right? I'm pretty sure that you did some coordination or I'm really sure that you did like some facilitation or presentation of projects during your educational courses, or you did like presentation in volunteering activities, etc., etc. So don't freak out when you are fresh graduate and you see a company asking for 1 or 2 years of professional experience. But keep in mind that this company or this organization, they are actually looking for someone who actually practiced those sets of skills for a specific period of time. So this is really important. And the structure of your CV when you are a fresh graduate is your contact information, your education comes before professional experience. More than that, professional experience should not even exist in your CV, unless you did really have a professional experience somehow while you are in the university. So education comes first, because education is what you need to put in value, because you are a fresh graduate. They want someone who has a master's degree on petroleum geology, or someone who has a degree on business management or business administration, etc., etc. So education comes first. After that comes volunteering and internship, not professional experience. Again, unless you really had professional experience, you can add it. But you put volunteering and internship, and then you put what internship you did, and then you describe a couple bullet points. This is what you did. Volunteering as well. You did volunteering clubs, university. You did volunteering in the American Corner, etc., etc. And then after that comes certificates. I know that when you are university students, there is not much certificates that you maybe acquired, or much certificates that you have. in like when you are professionally experienced. And then at the end, you put the language skills. So this is basically the structure between a resume for experienced professionals and a resume for fresh graduates. So this is really important. Now, when you are fresh graduate and you are going to apply for a research what can I say, like opportunity, like PhD. After education comes research experience, and when you add the research experience, basically you add all the publication that you had, all the research that you had, and you go into details, and you can, you know, take more space and shift from a resume to CV, sorry, a curriculum vitae, and that's the only time when you are a fresh graduate applying for a research opportunity or PhD scholarship. That's when you can, you know, make your CV longer and you add research, but keep the volunteering and internship, of course. But after education, you put, you know, the research, what you did exactly, what publication, where you did the publication, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, these are the structure and the contents. Now, in terms of contact information, 3 basic informations need to be there: the name, nationality, email, and phone. There is no reason, no need, sorry, to have the exact address. The exact address used to be there back in the days because the applicants, they used to receive mails to announce acceptance or rejection back in the days. But you know, that was before the emails, before the computer, the personal laptops. You know, you submit a CV, you put your address, because because like basically the company, they will mail you the answer. But now we have emails, we have phones. So there is no reason why to put your exact address. Matter of fact, do not put it, because these are personal data. These are personal data, and preferably you do not share all the personal data. And again, unless they ask you about your address, specific address, which honestly, I don't see a reason why they ask you for this. There is no reason for it. And this is the explanation why people they have in their CV the exact address, because this is a common habit that started long time ago, from the 1950. That's when the concept of CV and resume started. And people, they put their address because they are mailed answers to their letter boxes and to their houses about their answer. And from that till now, nothing has changed, and people, they are just following. People, they never do the analysis. Oh, why would I add the email, my address? I already have an email. And they do contact you over email. Sometimes they contact you over phone. So the 3 elements that you need to add: the name, the nationality, the email, and phone. This is really important. Nationality is important as well, because they want to know whether or not you are eligible to work in that specific country. If you are applying in Tunisia, I want to make sure that you are Tunisian. You don't need like a work permit or something, right? So yeah, these are in terms of contact information: name, nationality, email, and phone, and that's it. The other thing is professional experience. As I mentioned before, professional experience from the recent to the least recent ones. Bullet points, it's really important. When you describe what you did, it's never a paragraph, it's bullet points. Bullet points, and you put what you did exactly. Bullet point 1, bullet points 2, 3, 4. And the number of bullet points varies based on the length of the year in that specific experience. For example, if you spend 5 years managing a project in specific company, obviously you will have an extensive, you know, number of tasks. So you have like an extensive number of bullet points. Of course, do not go beyond like 10 or 12, but like be realistic on putting like adding like what is the most valuable experience that you need to add. Past tense when it comes to past positions. So basically, when you put like, you know, the experience that you have, the recent experience or the experience that you have in the bullet point, you have to talk about the present. You have to put the verb in the present tense, which means, for example, here, I don't know, for example, now, let's say, for example, Ghada, she is the American Corner Coordinator. In her CV right now, she should put facilitating workshops, okay? coordinating with US and Amidists, US Embassy and Amidist staff, okay? Guiding or supporting volunteers, because this is what she's doing right now, okay? But when it comes to the past experience, say that there is someone who worked before in a call center, right? Someone who worked before in a call center, and that's the previous job, you have to put the bullet points past tense. Do not put the bullet points in present tense, because that's not present. We're talking about the past. So basically the bullet points, if you did like call center or anything else, you put answered inquiries of clients, or you put reported to line managers, or etc., etc. So this is really important in terms of the tense you use in professional in your professional experience. Make sure to use keywords. Keywords is really important. We will discuss it later in details. There are keywords that you find in the job description that you need to put in your professional experience. So you might, for example, put I don't know, yeah, like facilitating, for example, facilitating focus group discussion in the American corner, okay? That's what you're doing right now, facilitating focus group discussion in the American corner, okay? But then there are, in the job description, and we will discuss later, this is, I'm giving you just a sneak peek onto what we are going to discuss later, but then in the job description, they would ask you, conduct key informant interviews with stakeholders. Well, conduct key informant interviews with stakeholders. The keywords here is key informant interviews. They want someone who has experience on using key informant interviews. Key informant interviews is the keywords, okay? But focus group discussion is what you did. Focus group discussion and key informant interviews, they are similar, because they are about, like, you know, facilitation, right? And it's about like facilitation, and it's about how can I say, facilitation, conducting interviews, interviewing. So these are, you know, keywords that you can use and keywords that you can extract from the job description. So sometimes you see something or, you know, like a requirement in the job description where you think that you don't have it. But if you actually analyze the keywords and analyze the skills that they are asking for, you find yourself that you have been using that skills and that you have that capability, but using it in different setup. And that's when you need to tailor your CV and tailor, you know, like in a bullet points, what were the tasks that you did. We'll discuss it later. Education. So the education, basically the degree, bachelor degree, master degree, you know, brief section, unless if you are a fresh graduate. So don't go into details unless you are a fresh graduate. If you are professional, you don't need to go into details. If you are a fresh graduate, you put that you have a master degree in specific thing, in a specific, you know, like area, but then put what you studied, put what was your research about it, put what your master thesis was about it, etc., because that would make your resume richer. Okay, these now are controversial points about the resume and the CV. These are the things that most of the time people, they ask whether or not they are included, but also there are a couple things, which is the font and size, but also spelling is important. And people, most of the time, they ask question about these, right? Picture, let me tell you something. Pictures, unless they ask for a picture, do not add a picture. There is no reason for you to add a picture on your CV or in your resume, okay? There is no need to. Usually pictures is requested for formality purpose, to see whether or not the person is formal, you know, like when you take a picture, you take a formal picture, especially to jobs that there will be a customer service contact. So when you are in banking, insurance, marketing, there is a lot of stakeholder contacts and a lot of customer and clients contacts. So sometimes they ask pictures, right? And to see, you know, how formal you are, wearing suit or wearing formal dress. Of course, if you take a picture, it's neck and neck up picture. It's not a full body picture, obviously. But there is no need to add a picture unless it's asked for. Matter of fact, in the US, they do not use pictures at all, and they do not ask for genders in the CV itself. They do not ask for these because people believe that if you add a picture, sometimes you get rejected, not for because what you have in CV is not relevant, but rather because of discrimination purposes. So even in the US, I'm not gonna say they reject because they see a picture, but it's totally okay or totally normal that you submit a CV without a picture or a resume without a picture. Because as I said, like most of the people, they think that if you submit your resume with a picture and then you get rejected, people, they might be, afraid that you take it as because of discrimination or because of maybe skin color or something, you get rejected because of this. So that's why like in the US, they never use pictures in their resume. Never. You never see like someone from the US using their picture, unless someone from the US is applying for Europe or something, because in Europe, usually they ask for pictures, right? So this is really something important. Picture, you don't need to use it. You don't put a picture. If you're gonna put it, is something extra, but it's not mandatory. You can save that space to add other information. Profile summary, also, it's not mandatory. Profile summary, it's basically you talk about yourself. What are the achievements? What are your ambitions? You can add this in your CV, but also you can save yourself space. If you don't have that much space, you don't need to add profile summary. If you're gonna add profile summary, make sure to put, what are your goals? What are your objectives? But again, it's not a necessity. You don't need to add it. You don't need to have it. Soft skills, it's a no. Now, people might find this like a little bit weird, but for me, soft skills, it's a no. I know that all of these guys, I'm telling you about it, it's a no, but I know some people, just because they find some space in the CV, they want to fill it. But sometimes you fill your CV, you fill the space in the CV, but you make fatal mistakes. So remember, soft skills, it's a no, because basically soft skills are already mentioned in the tasks that you conducted in your current job and your previous job. So if I go through your tasks, I will figure out whether or not you have a communication skills, leadership skills, etc., etc. So there is no need for you to add a section with soft skills. Hobbies, it is not mandatory to add it. There is no need also like to add it. And this is again my point of view. Hobbies, I know that some big companies, they ask sometimes for hobbies in their portal, recruitment portal, because basically hobbies, it's a reflection of what that person is doing off job or off work to relax, right? And for example, if you put that you spend your time with family, you do exercising, you do hiking, they are, they kind of like, it's comforting them that you are doing some good activities of the job. So you blow off some steam. So you spend quality time. So you can come to the job, with fully charged, and you can do like great jobs, but you don't need to add hobbies. Font and size, there is no specific font and size. I would recommend Times, but font and size, make sure it's consistent, make sure it's 11, 12, the font size. But most importantly, make it consistent, make it, Arial or Times. These are, the recommendation. Now, spelling is really important. You have to check once, twice, 3 times, 4 times the spelling on your CV and resume, because if you make spellings, that will tell me a lot as a recruiter regarding your writing skills and reporting skills. If I'm asking for someone who writes reports, and then you tell me that some of your tasks before was writing reports, and then you find a lot of spelling mistakes, that is not reassuring for me. So spelling is really important, guys. Tailoring your CV to the job description. So this is a really important component for the CV. Probably we're going to discuss it for 5-10 minutes. So there is, first of all, before going to tailoring your CV, there is a golden rule, guys, that I want you to know. Every job you are going to apply for, every single job you are going to apply for requires a new CV. What do I mean by a new CV? Of course, you are not going to start from scratch. It means that you need to adapt and adjust and change your CV or your resume based on the job description. So this is really important. If you're finding yourself using the same CV or resume, applying to all the jobs that you encounter and you find, just be sure that you are going to be rejected from most of these. The other, probably they wouldn't answer you, because you need to tailor your CV to the job description. So this is something really important. As I mentioned before, some companies use ATS, application tracking system, to screen resumes. So basically, that's why you need to tailor your CV. You have to tailor your CV to add the keywords. You have to add the key terms, because for the companies that they use ATS, so basically they are going to do an automatic screening, and then they will either reject or they're going to accept, or you are going to go to the next phase. Usually, how to know whether or not a company use ATS? There are companies, there are like job advertisement, for example, they tell you, okay, this is what we need. We need your CV, we need your cover letter, and send them to this email. If you find a job description that they will ask you to submit your application in a specific email, that means there are individuals who are going to be checking your CV, okay? This is something important. But there are companies where you are going to go through portal, and I know that hustle that we all go through. Sometimes there are companies, they tell you, upload your CV. And then after uploading your CV, they start telling you, okay, now you have to add your job descriptions and your professional experience, etc., etc. Well, I know it's too much hassles. We all complain about it. But the reason why they ask you to submit your CV and then afterward they ask you to fill the sections of your professional experience, that's because they have the ATS. They have an application tracking system. They have a system that will automatically screen what you wrote on the portal, and they will screen the keywords, and then they will see whether they reject you or not. Okay. Let me give you a brief example, and that's how I kind of figured that there is a lot of companies that use an application tracking system. So there is a job that I applied for. Like I tailored my CV. I know that I tailored my CV right to the job description, and then I went to the portal. I applied. I added my CV and I added my job description, and then they asked me for the nationality, and I put it, I'm Tunisian. I am from Tunisia. Okay. Don't take it personally, guys. I'll tell you exactly what happened to me here, because I completely understand. So when I put it like I'm from Tunisia, and I put it like the job, because I really tailored my CV with all the keywords and the key terms, right? I know that it was one of the finest CV because I really wanted that job. And then I put it from Tunisia. After 5 minutes from submitting, I received an automatic email of rejection after 5 minutes only. But after that, I was thinking with myself, and I told, what did I do wrong? And then I knew that I tailored my CV. And then I told myself, let me take a look again to the job description. When I went through the job description, I saw that they needed someone who was actually from specific nationalities. They ask people from a specific nationality to apply, right? And that's why I understood that there is a system of Gatsby, because there is no way there is someone who checked my CV and saw that I'm from Tunisia, and then after 5 minutes they answered. There is no way. So basically after that, I applied, and I put it that specific nationality just to double check whether it's a system answering or it's an individual. So basically I applied and I put it, the nationality from that specific country. 2 or 3 companies from East Africa, actually, they asked for. So I put it at the nationality. I'm from that nationality in the portal. And then after 5 minutes, they send me an email. They tell me, your application is undergoing a review and we'll get back to you. I mean, it's been just a month or 2 and they didn't answer. So I'm not sure where it is right now. But this is just, how can I say? This is just a story that I wanted to share with you. And this is how I figured out that there is a lot of application tracking system that they actually do the job, not individuals. Again, the other thing is analyze job description. You have to search for keywords and terms, and you have to search for key similar skills. Key similar skills here, as I mentioned, for example, they ask someone, for example, well, actually, why thinking too much? I have here some examples already. So these are example of job description for project coordinator, right? And how we are going to tailor our CV to make it similar to the job description, right? For example, conduct focus group discussions with beneficiaries. Here, you have to see what are the keywords and what are the key similar skills that you did before in your current job or your previous job. So for example, conduct focus group discussions with beneficiaries. It's basically, if you are in the American Corner, or if you've been a volunteer in the American Corner, and you've been basically facilitating conversation hours. Conversation hours, it's basically similar to focus group discussion, because focus group discussion, it's a bunch of people sitting around table discussing a topic. Conversation hours, it's exactly the same. What are the skills needed here? Basically, to conduct a focus group discussion, you need skills of anchoring, of facilitating. So this is what it's about, right? So basically, how to tailor your CV based on the experience you had in the American Corner as a volunteer. Obviously, you're not going to be conducting focus group discussion with beneficiaries or with volunteers. No, it's basically you put anchored or organized conversation hours addressing XYZ topics. And if you see here, it's so similar, but how the formulation, it's completely different. But the keywords is there, the key skills is there as well. So this is really important. Okay, support local organizations in developing, planning, and implementing projects. Here, basically, they want to know whether or not you supported before in planning and implementing something. Implementing, it can be like projects, but implementing activities. You know, they want to know whether or not you have skills of, you know, for implementing, for organizing things. So if you are also a volunteer in the American Corner, I'm sure you also assisted the Cultural Center coordinator in organizing and implementing the center weekly activities. And basically the keywords in the job description is implementing projects. Something similar you can put is implementing. Yes, can you please mute yourself? I don't know what's the name exactly. Xiaomi. Okay, anyway. But yeah, so basically this is how you can tailor your your CV, your job description. Do not freak out if you find that there is a specific requirement in the job description that you didn't have, because most of the time, if you just think about it, do analysis or what are the key words, key terms, and key similar skills, you will find yourself that you did it either as a volunteer, in an internship, etc., etc. So this is really important. For example, prepare regular reports on activity outcomes and participants' feedback. So this is basically preparing reports of participants' feedback and also activity outcomes. If, for example, you were working in call center, I worked before in a call center, it's basically similar when you having or collecting feedback from participants. It's similar as answering inquiries of clients. And those inquiries basically afterward, you submit a weekly report to your line management or to management teams on concern or feedbacks. Those inquiries include concerns and feedbacks. So you see here, basically, participant feedbacks look similar like client inquiries, prepare regular reports, weekly reports. So this is how you can tailor your CV. Also, there is another thing, maintain continuous communication and follow up with other departments. And this is basically, it's about communication skills and it's about coordination skills. So here you have to just, think about what is the skill that you see in the job description. Here it's coordination skills. And then you have to think, what were the duties that I did before where I did some coordination skills? And then you need to put that specific duty or task in your CV. And yeah, then it would match, not necessarily to the job description itself, but it will match to the keywords, what the company is looking for, and what are the skills that are looking for. That's it for the CV and resume writing. Some tips. I hope that you enjoyed the presentation, and I hope that the tips that I shared, they are really useful. And yeah, the floor is yours for questions. I will check the chat box if there is any questions, but please let me know. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you have any concerns, if there is anything unclear. If you also have a previous experience applying with the specific CV where you had like some difficulties, where you have some concerns about your CV, just let me know and let's discuss it. I think that we have over 20 minutes. And yeah, floor is yours, please. One recommendation for a position is more helpful against all type of CV. One recommendation for a position is more helpful against all type of CV. So I cannot pronounce the name of the person. I think it's Xiaomi, but I know what's the name exactly. Here is something. I already mentioned this in the previous session and the session before. One recommendation, that a recommendation that comes from your network, but someone recommending you for a position doesn't mean that you are going to get a position. Well, unless someone who is going to offer you a position, that's completely different. Because if I recommend you, I can recommend you to multiple companies, to multiple recruiters, right? But it doesn't mean that recruiter will invest in you, because that recruiter will want to see your skills. And then I recommend you, and then you sit for the interview, and then you need to display your skills yourself. So it's true. It's about the recommendation. It's amazing if someone recommends you, and that's what we call networking. And those network helped you to get an opportunity. But then again, as I mentioned before, your set of skills is what's going to help you to land that opportunity. So yeah, that was very informative. How important references are in CVs. So references in the CV themselves, you should not include them. So Jihan, it's really important question, and this is something that I want to share with everyone. I see a lot of CVs that comes with references written in this. I did not ask for a reference yet. I did not ask for a reference yet because I do not care about the reference right now. I care about what you have to offer. I care about your CV, what you did before. Once you are selected, you will need to go through the interview. And if your interview is successful, I need to prove that you are not a person of 1 hour interview, or you are not a person of one page resume or CV. What do I mean is that I need to double check whether what you said in the CV, what you wrote in the CV, and what you did in the interview is correct. That's when comes the reference check. So the reference check is a step after the interview, and that's when I ask you, provide me with a reference. And the reason why you should not add your reference in the CV, because the references that you added in the CV may not be relevant to the job that you are applying for. They may not be relevant to after the interview, because during the interview you might figure out that they need something specific, someone who worked with you on a specific thing, and they will ask you, okay, can you give me a reference for someone who worked with you on this project? And that's when you decide who is going to be a reference, because I'm sure that you don't have like only 1 or 2 or 3 references. I'm sure that you have multiple references, right? And each reference will tell a specific story about you and about your skills. So that's why I highly recommend to avoid putting your references on the CV, because if your application will be successful, they will ask you for a reference over email and you share your reference. Again, unless they asked you in the job description, they asked CV, cover letter, and 3 references, do not add your references. If they asked you to put your references, yes, go ahead and put your references. If they do not ask you to put your references, do not put your references, because later on they will come to you and ask you, give me 2 or 3 references. I hope this is helpful. Amal, thank you for the presentation. Can you please display the previous slide about tailoring CV? Yes, here you go. If I had a startup, should I include this in my resume? Yes. If you have a startup, you should include in your resume, because when you have a startup, that's what we call business administration skills. And if you have a startup, you basically need to put in a bullet points what you are doing on your startup. You are building network. You are building a client base. You are building, how can I say, like operational team. You are recruiting people. You are actually startup. It's so rich of tasks that you are doing. I mean, if you are invested 100% in your startup, you are doing a lot of work. Recruiting people, building a network, setting up your operational setup, your etc., etc., etc. So yes, please include it. Should I include my career switch or only mention the job? Can I mention that I have? Should I include my career switch or only mention the jobs related to the position I am applying for? So if you do not mention your career switch, so I'm not sure what you mean by career switch. So basically, if I understand right, if you spend 1 or 2 or 3 years working, for example, in customer service, and then you shifted to work for another 2 or 3 years in IT, okay? That means, yes, please add it. There is no problem for you to add that in your CV, because otherwise you will have a gap of few years in your CV, and that's a question mark. You can add it. You can add it, but also you can tailor your CV. I'm not sure if you wanna share with me change from where to where, so I can give you a more insightful comment, but preferably avoid having gap years in your CV. And by avoiding a gap year in CV, unless, of course, you are looking for a job, you should add what you did before. And then, for example, if you did a customer service and you switch it to IT, when you did a customer service, when tailoring your CV, try to focus on the times where you worked with data, where you worked with IT, where you worked with systems, where you worked with softwares, right? And add these bullet points. So that way it's true that you switched from careers, but also in the previous career, even though the sector is not the same, but you basically did few tasks that are that helped you to switch to your career. Can I mention that I have a small business on the side, even if it's not related to the position I applied for, or that I'm doing some freelance on the side, maybe to show versatility and make a multitasking. Depends what are you doing on the side. If they are relevant to the job, yes. If they are not relevant to the job, no. But if they are in the side, so if you're having something and something happening in the side, if it's relevant, it's okay. You can put it like as a consultancy. If it's not relevant, do not add it. But again, if it's in the side, not like something that you are focusing on, you are just doing it, right? So yeah, versatility, capability, multitaskings, you do not need to show those in, putting 2 jobs happening at the same time, because sometimes this is not in your favor. You can reflect these in the tasks that you did. You can, versatility, capability, capability of multitasking. These are things that you can include in, like in the tasks that you did. For example, capability of multitasking, you can put that, I don't know, like worked on multiple projects to meet specific deadlines, etc. That's, like one way to reflect that you actually have multitasking capability. Yeah. Any other questions? Please also unmute yourself and ask me questions. You don't need just to drop message in chat box. People who are working on their CVs or resumes need to try to use suitable power verbs, action verbs, don't you think? What do you mean, Jian, by action verbs? Okay, like, I'm not sure what you mean by action.
Hi, hello.
Hey.
Hi. I was looking for the unmute button. So thank you very much first for the lovely presentation. That was very informative.
Okay.
And by power verbs, I mean verbs like the ones that you've mentioned already, like assisted, anchored, organized, reported.
Yeah,
Things like that.
Yeah, I'd say these are important power verbs. Every single bullet point that you are going to put, you have to start with the power verbs. You have to start with coordinated. You supported, anchored, etc. These are like important, but make sure that, I mean, you are going to basically state what you did, right? But also make sure that there is, because there are power verbs that are similar, right? Like, for example, follow it up, coordinated, they are similar. There are like conducted or facilitated and anchored, right? They are similar, right? You don't necessarily to put the same power verbs that you have in the job description, but you can go to Google and Google will give you a long list of verbs that are similar to what's in the job description. And these you can...
Oh yeah, there's a pretty good list on Google, right? An
Yeah,
amazing
exactly.
one.
Yeah, exactly. So they give you like, long list of power verbs. And again, like there are key terms and key words that you should use, of course, with these power verbs. Another thing, guys, that I want to mention, it's probably way ahead. And hopefully one day, and I really like to do this in person actually. When you reach an executive level, when you reach, like the C-suite, which is chief operating officer, or like even director of management, the terms, the power verbs, the keywords, it's completely different to what we use when we are fresh graduates, when we are mid-professionals. It's completely different to use. We start using advanced verbs and advanced vocabularies like, KPIs, metrics, benchmarking, a lot of words that we use. And this is basically, because as you mentioned, and also like there is someone who just mentioned CV is platform to sell yourself, but depends who is buyer. Well, I think that, it's about marketing and selling yourself, right? But also you are basically showing that you actually at that level. We don't use like the normal words anymore, but we use highly technical words. And this is hopefully one day we will do presentation about it, about, like the executive levels and how to write CV, etc., etc. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not a highly expert on it, but I have some bit of information and some training that I took and some books that I read from which I can develop training and I can display. And it's really, really, really interesting to know about it, because hopefully one day all of you reach that level and you guys need to start thinking beyond the normal and outside the box, right? But since most of us, I think that here are mid-professional, early professional, and fresh graduate, we can stick, to the power verbs, tailoring your CV, etc., etc. But yeah,
Thank you.
of
Thank
course,
you. And by the way, you've been doing a fantastic job
even what?
so far. You've been doing a great job so far. I've learned so much from you
Thank
these a couple of weeks. So yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Of course. I mean, I have the recording in my YouTube channel, and also we have a few other presentation coming. So yeah, it would be great if you all attend again. There is certain Xiaomi or Xiaomi. If you just tell me your name, that would be helpful. I don't know. CV is a platform to sell yourself, but it depends who's a buyer. So here is the thing. I think that you made comments before, right? And now also you made a couple of comments. Again, there is something that I want to share with you guys. I shared with you before. It's all about the mindsets, right? I know that there is a lot of things going on in our country. I know that there are like a lot of challenges. I know that there are a lot of hiccups. There are a lot of obstacles, etc., etc. But it's about the mindset that you have. It's about how you invest in yourself. It's true about selling yourself, but depends who's the buyer. But trust me, if you are good at selling yourself, whoever the buyer is will invest on you. So this is like something important. It's about like marketing, about selling yourself. And if you tell me that you are selling yourself, but not everyone will buy, or someone probably will buy you, but how can I say, there is a string attached to it, you don't really need that buyer, right? Because if you are just working hard on yourself, you're improving your skills, you're improving your CV writing abilities, your set of skills, etc., etc. For now, you may not find a buyer, but I'm sure in the longer run, you will find a buyer. I absolutely do not know anyone that did work hard on themselves and invested on themselves. I'm not going to be talking like all motivational, believe in yourself or whatever, no, but I'm going to give you technical, mechanical things, right? If you work on yourself, improve your skills the way you want, like reading books, attending workshops, wherever, you will find your way and you will find the right buyer and you will know how to sell yourself. So for me, I'm sorry, I may disagree with you on this, but if you know how to sell yourself, you can persuade any buyer you want. But yeah, again, I'd be curious to know your name because you've been sharing some interesting comments the last sessions and this session as well. But yeah, any other questions, please let me know, guys. Take advantage of these sessions, take advantage. You have my email if you have any clarification. You have my social media and professional media platform. I'm not that active yet in social media and a professional media platform in sharing contents, but hopefully soon. I'm busy on a couple of projects right now. But if you have any questions, I know some of you already approached me with questions. I'm happy always to help. But yeah, like take advantage of these tips. And also we will discuss next time how to write a cover letter and motivational letter. And the week after we will discuss interviews. Please attend. Interviews is gonna be really interesting because there is a lot of tricks that I would love to share with you guys. Yeah, please connect with me in privacy. Yeah. And yeah, in the interview workshop, we'll share like a lot of interesting tips. If you have any questions, please share them with me, share them with Ghada. She can share them with me as well. I'll be sharing the recording, also shared with your friends as well. And if there is no questions, I think Ghada, that's it. There is no more that I can add.
Yeah, thank you, Malik.
The change of the day of the week for next week.
Yes, actually, like next session would be on Saturday, same time. So like the remaining sessions will be probably all of them for Saturdays.
Yeah.
And
I know that Saturdays, I know some people, they go to the beach, but guys, it's remote. So even from the beach, if you just, join and it's fine, you can share pictures of the beach. I mean, like the closest beach from here is probably 100 miles away. So I wouldn't mind if you guys share with me, like, some beach pictures. And yeah, please welcome Jan, welcome everyone. I'm always happy to support and to share ideas.
Yeah, thank you everyone for attending today. It was a pleasure having all of you, and we look forward to our next session. So you will receive from me an email with the recording for this session. You will also receive another email with the link for the next Zoom meeting. Okay, take care everyone and stay safe. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.